It's not my fault. It's not my fault was the words I would repeat to myself every time an incident would occur. Feeling less like a mother, not being good enough as a wife. Constantly hearing the word failure ran through my mind. I had lost all manner of self-confidence and self-esteem that I once had, not to mention the physical pain that I had endured and would have to hide from my family members so they wouldn't see the bruises, all while thinking to myself, it's not my fault, as to being a victim to domestic violence. In the beginning of my relationship, everything was great, close to being what I would consider perfect. Love at first sight, as cliche as that sounds. In my heart, I felt this man had hung the moon, that he would be the one that I would grow old with and spend the rest of my life with. Until things began to change and things began to shift. I noticed a change in the way he would look at me. No longer looking at me in the eyes, the way he would act towards me was no longer the same. He became distant and angry. The man I had fell in love with was no longer the same. The I love yous had turned into I hate you and can't stand you. The compliments went from you're beautiful to you're fat, you're ugly. The tone and the way he spoke to me had turned into verbal abuse, which was hard for me to accept. The vulgar language and name calling was as if it was in his vocabulary. I had no longer felt loved or wanted. I didn't feel safe and secure in the arms of the man I loved. My self-esteem lowered. I lost all self-confidence in myself. I felt inadequate as a mother and a wife. A failure was what I thought I was. Months turned into years. The verbal abuse was no longer good enough for him. He turned to physical abuse. My integrity and my dignity I no longer thought I had. I would hide away for days feeling less and less like a person. All the while I would say to myself, it's not my fault. I no longer had the smile on my face that I once had. The joy and happiness I once felt was gone. Many times I would question myself, what is the point? Why try? Maybe I deserve this. I had accepted this was the life I was meant to live. All hope of anything changing had disappeared. Until one day, I finally believed the words I had spoke for all those years. It's not my fault. Although I endured this for many years, I never once thought I'd be able to walk away. But once I had the mentality, enough is enough, I mustered up the strength and courage to walk away. I have come to realize it doesn't matter what I may go through or may not go through. It doesn't define who I am. I have come to accept that I am a great mother. My self-confidence and self-esteem grows daily. I am important and I do matter. I will continue to say it was not my fault. Going through this made me who I am today, stronger and more independent, and to not focus on the past but to focus on my future. Because I once thought I would always be the victim to domestic violence, I am no longer a victim but an overcomer.